Hello, thank you for joining in. My name is Medea and I'm a chartered physiotherapist, and I am going to be talking to you today. I'm just going to give it literally a couple of seconds for a few people to join us as we've just hit 8 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining in, and thank you so much for having me as the guest today. If you've got any questions regarding exercise generally, whether it be in pregnancy, be in labour, be it post-birth or postnatally, something you want to go back to but you might be struggling with, please pop all your questions down below. After I've done my little talk, I will go through the questions and answer them, and if I don't get to reply to them directly in the video, I will make sure I come back and reply to you with them. So please pop them down and I'll scroll through at the end. So let's begin. So I'm Medea, I'm a mum of 3, I'm based in South London, and I'm a chartered physiotherapist. So I've been through uni, and that was back in 2007, so I've been qualified for about 13 years. And I'm really passionate about women being active generally, but especially as mothers, and especially during pregnancy, because I found it so useful in my pregnancy. So I had 2 water births, and my 3rd baby I had at home with a planned home birth. So if any of that's of interest, please do let me know as well. I'd love to tell you and share more about that with you. But going back to our title today, exercise tips in pregnancy, labour and post-birth. So first of all, why is it so important? Literally 80% of women don't do the recommended amount of exercise during pregnancy, and of which we can see the stats show us about 70% of people suffer stress incontinence either during or after they've had a baby. 70% of women, and 80% of women suffer either a back or pelvis problems during or after pregnancy. Now that's massive statistics, and as physios we get people coming to see us to fix them now and to manage them and help with the pain. Now I'm a strong believer that there's a lot we can do during our pregnancy, during that stage, that can really help kind of decrease that, so hopefully we can prevent some of that happening, and if we do end up having some of the symptoms, we can know how to focus on restoring that a lot quicker than waiting for it to be, you know, a massive problem. So exercise, we generally know on a daily basis the benefits for it, but particularly in pregnancy we have a risk of having depression, anxiety. Exercise is shown to decrease that massively. We're increasing our circulation, which is fantastic for getting that blood and all that healthy nutrition to the baby. We are increasing our chances of having a positive birth. Exercise, there's loads of exercise evidence, even there's loads of evidence that exercise can help decrease the time of the length of your labour and decrease the amount of intervention you need, and also it speeds up your recovery postnatally. So for me, first time, that was just like a total win. Like, who does not want a quick, effective, non-complicated pregnancy and labour in that sense as well? And if you're having your 2nd child, 3rd child, is even more so important, I suppose, in terms of the postnatal recovery. And as you have siblings, as you have older toddlers that you're going to be looking after, as well as a newborn baby. So the postnatal period will be really important, and we'll come back to that bit. So what's actually useful to do in pregnancy, I hear you say? So in terms of exercise, you can do pretty much anything you like to some degree. Now a lot of people tend to get pregnant and obviously are quite cautious and decide to do nothing at all. Now that's probably the worst thing you can do, is nothing at all. So in terms of things you definitely should not do is contact sport, unless it's obviously it's your job and there's a risk assessment based on that. For the general person, contact sport isn't something we would avoid. Things like impact sport, so something where you're kind of getting a lot of kind of absorption through your joints as you do it. For example, running. We can't say don't do it, because if you've done running before and that's your previous fitness level, and it doesn't have to be races, it can just be running because you enjoy running, then there's no reason why you can't carry that on in pregnancy. Okay, so no one's saying cut it out. What we want to do is just give you an idea that you're keeping up your fitness level in line with what you were doing before. Okay, well, I think I might have frozen there, so sorry if I've missed a little bit there. I was just saying your exercise should be in line with what you were doing before. So if you were running before, if you were doing a jog around the block, you're doing your 5k, and now you're suddenly pregnant, or it's a planned pregnancy, you don't have to stop. Like, if you want to stop, obviously that's totally fine, but you don't have to stop because you're pregnant. So that's really useful to know. Things like Pilates is great in terms of giving you strength. We know our hormones relax a lot of our ligaments which join bone on bone, especially we want them to work on our pelvis, but the hormone doesn't just affect the pelvis, it affects the whole body. So when we're thinking about exercise, that's why it's so important to know which ones to do. But things like Pilates is really good to give you the muscular strength around the joints, so you're getting that strength around, even though the joints are moving, the muscles are giving it that kind of nice little hug. Yoga is quite good from a breathing and meditation point of view, so you get that inner kind of calmness to help you during pregnancy, during labour as well. Swimming, some people like swimming before, then I would say go with it. Build it up regularly if it's something that's new. That's generally the way to go. If you're particularly having aches or pains already, then swimming generally is seen as quite a good one to do, because the water helps soothe the joints. My main advice there would be do a little bit, give it a couple of days, see how you feel, and then go for longer ones at a later point, that you know what your tolerance is, because you won't know how much you've done whilst you're still in the pool. So that's something to be wary of. Other exercises, cardio. Now that's a massive one. Anyone who comes to my pregnancy Pilates classes always think, oh, okay, we're going to have a lot of lying down. No. I'm all about cardio. If you were running a marathon, right, you wouldn't be lying down doing nothing. You would train. And giving birth is just that challenge that you're going to be doing, and you're going to train for it. Yeah, you're going to mentally train for it. You might be doing hypnobirthing, and other things, but you want to physically train for it as well. And that's where the cardiovascular exercise comes in. Standing up exercise is absolutely fantastic. So when I say cardio, it doesn't have to be that you have to get really sweaty. It doesn't have to be an aerobic session. So like when I do my Pilates sessions, I add an element of doing things a little bit quicker, changing direction, adding a bit of a challenge, and that gets people out of breath. Now that is what's called cardio. So you should be able to say a sentence with just about kind of having to catch your breath. If you're kind of saying a whole sentence and you're talking, it's not working you hard enough. So that's kind of what we consider as a way of testing that you're doing moderate exercise. Now, generally, I would say you want to be getting about 20 minutes of moderate exercise in every day, most days, at least 5 times a day, 5 times a week even. If you do 5 times a day, fantastic, but generally 5 sessions a week. And remember, they don't have to be in one big chunk as well. And this goes for advice for later on postnatal as well. Don't feel like you've got to carve out 20-30 minutes in one lump section to do in one go. No, you can break it up. So you can do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes lunchtime, 10 minutes later on. Break it up, make it workable, make it feasible. Don't make it a chore, make it something you enjoy. And that is generally my kind of main top tip about exercise. If you do something you enjoy, then you're going to really keep that up and keep that consistency and keep it going through. Moving on to labour. Now this is something most people don't tend to think about in terms of exercise, because they think, okay, well, we think about pain relief, we think about our breathing exercises, what we want to do with baby after, all those things. Whereas actually exercise, physical movement during labour is such a massive thing, especially in the current circumstances With COVID, you might not even be going in till a lot later on. So if we're thinking about even in a normal situation, generally most people would want to be at home for as long as they can. So thinking of strategies where you can control your pain, where you can keep the progression of the labour going is super helpful. So there are devices which you can talk about, like TENS machine. You might want to have a pool at home, you know, you've got your affirmations, also all those things. But when it comes to exercise, the key thing you can do is keep moving. Now don't think, okay, well, I'm having contractions, baby's coming soon, okay, I should just rest. Like, unless you're feeling uncomfortable, give me one moment. So if you're generally well in yourself, in the sense you're staying hydrated, and you're not feeling faint and you're not having to have any kind of external intervention to you, then there's absolutely no reason why you can't be active. Now, by being active, it can be as simple as, and I say as simple as walking, but when you're having the contractions, when you're moving around, you might not feel like walking, because you might feel like, oh, actually, maybe I should just stay in one place. No, you want to walk around as much as you can. Like with my third birth as well, I was walking laps back and forth the living room. As much walking you can do, the better it is. The more upright you are, the more your pelvis is in a really good position to allow baby's head to really be past that engagement and really drop down with gravity into the birth canal there. If you're lying down, your pelvis, and you're working, you're in this direction and everything has to push against. Whereas as soon as you're up, and baby's head, generally if it's in a good position, if your head down, is going to be pushing down on all your pelvic floor muscles. So it's going to be really helping stretch them. So that's what we want, right? When we're in labour, we want to get baby out as relatively quickly as possible. So walking around, wall squat, so you can put yourself up against a wall, and glide down the wall, coming back up. It doesn't have to be deep, it's just that movement of being upright and getting that support. Now also what you can, things like gas and air, somebody can hold that with you. You don't have to be holding everything, and you can just do short bursts. You can do a little bit of a lie down, you can go for a walk, you can do a little bit of squats, gym ball, my favourite piece of equipment, exercise ball, birth ball, whatever you want to call it. Sit on it, get your pelvic tilting going. Back and forth, side to side, circles. Get that rotation, give that massage to that baby's head to wriggle down as low as possible to make the labour progress. And that's what we want, right? We want baby out. So let's move, let's make it happen. And change it around. Don't feel you have to get on the floor to do stretches. Remember, like if you've got the bed at home or if you're in hospital, use the bed, go on all fours onto the bed, roll around, get that pelvis moving, do your cat stretches, do your leaning back, give that release to your back, and then change it up. So don't be like, oh, I just only can walk. Walk, squat, ball, lie down, keep it rotating, keep going with those things. And that's the kind of things I would say to put in your birth plan as well. That's what you want to do, just to be as a prompt for your partner, for your doula, for your medical staff that might be around, to know that actually you want to be active and you want to be really involved as possible. So moving on to post-birth. Now, from a exercise point of view, I think most people know that generally it's 6 to 8 weeks before you can go to formal exercise. Now, if you are having a C-section or you end up having a C-section, that can be 8 to 12 weeks almost. Now, as a physio, I suppose my biggest advice would be, don't feel you have to rush back into exercise just because everybody else is. I would take the time to research who you're going to exercise with, be it online or in person or boot camps or whatever it is. Just really sure that they are truly postnatal specialists, that they are going to take into account how your birth was, how your healing is to go forward. So we're going to put that to a box and we're going to come back to just having had a baby to that 6-week window. What can you actually do? Now, if you're anything like me, when I had my second, I felt, well, 2-3 weeks later, I was like, yeah, I can take both kids out by myself. I can, I can go back to ruling the world. But it does catch up with you. So I would say, be kind to yourself, give yourself time to heal. Even if you feel great in yourself, which is fantastic, a lot of it will catch up with you later on. Be it the pelvic floor, our muscles here, all the red ones that we want to focus on, or be it how our body feels in terms of joints. Oh, have I frozen again for you? Just give it a few seconds. Oh, I've unfrozen, sorry. So in terms of going back to exercise, sorry, I think I'm coming off frozen and unfrozen, and oh, give me a sec. Oh, there we go, I'm back. Sorry about that. I was saying in terms, oh, I've forgotten what I was saying now. Going back, joints, yes. So even though you may feel great to go back to exercise, it actually takes 3 to 6 months post having your baby for your hormones to go back to level, and especially if you're breastfeeding, okay? So if you're breastfeeding, you're going to take a little bit longer for your joints to go back to normal. So you are a little bit more vulnerable for injuries, just like you were when you were in pregnancy. So that's not an excuse not to do exercise, but it is a reason to be a bit more aware of how you're doing the exercise, who you're doing with, and what you're doing. So my top tips in terms of post-birth, firstly, it would be making sure that you're getting out of bed correctly. Think about your everyday things that you're doing, even if they're only for a few seconds, but you're doing them correctly. You're not adding any extra stress on your joints or your muscles that are going to be a consequence later on, okay? So getting in and out of bed, make sure you're rolling over onto your side, hooking your feet, and then swiveling up. Do not do a straightforward sit-up, okay? Give it a couple of weeks, let the tummy muscles heal. It's so easy to think, okay, I'm going to do lots of kind of tummy exercises, and this is going to be a good way to build that strength up. Theoretically, that might make sense, but when we're pregnant, our tummy muscles stretch over a period of 9 months, right? And the first 8 weeks healing of our tummy muscles are super crucial, okay? The natural process of the tummy muscles drawing in, especially the linear elbow, so that's like an elastic band which comes from our sternum down, encompassing our 3 and 3, our 6-pack here. Every time we're doing that sit-up in those first couple of weeks, all we're doing is encouraging it to stretch. Where actually what we want to do is encourage it to knit together, then that way it will pull the muscles in. So giving yourself a couple of weeks where you're still rolling in bed, you're not doing a sit-up if you're lying down, is really going to help you with that. And then secondly, thinking about the way that you're doing bath time, where you are doing nappy changing, encompass in the way you're standing, the way you're sitting, the way you're feeding, all those things that you'll be doing regularly, but maybe for a short period of time, so it's not things that you think about. And then see, can you incorporate a small element of exercise in that? So say every time you're changing the nappy, you might find that you want to be next to the bed and you want to be transferring your weight from your left to your right leg, forward and back. Posture, alignment are such big things, our spatial awareness, which changes in pregnancy, and they are the key things you can start working on straight away, making sure you're standing correctly, that you're upright, that your bum's not poking out, that you're not poking your tummy out, that you've got the same amount of weight on your right and your left leg. Building that confidence in your body and being more body aware. And then you can take it out to going for walks around the block. And again, remember, moderate exercise. If you're picking up a bit of pace where you're getting a little bit breathless, that does count as exercise. And it's safe because your feet are on the floor, you've got no impact, you've got no contact with anyone. So it is a safe form of exercise. So there are things you can do between that 0 and 6 weeks if you feel you want to, okay? Otherwise, most people wait for their 6-8 week checkup. Normally it's the mum and the baby's checkup at the same time. And that's when most people feel they are ready to exercise, or they feel they've given the approval to exercise, because most places in terms of gyms and fitness instructors will wait for you to get that consent from your GP, to get that clearance from your GP at that interval that you have, that you're safe to kind of do your exercise. Now, as physios, we know there's a lot more that goes on during that time, because we are very physical. Our assessment's very physical. So I would highly recommend looking for your local physiotherapist, ideally a women's health physiotherapist, and see if they do any health MOTs, postnatal checkups, and go and just get your pelvic floor checked, be it visual, be it internal. Have a feel of your tummy muscles. Are they healing after 8 weeks, or actually after 8 weeks you need more input for your tummy? And it doesn't have to be just purely from, you know, tummy toning. Is actually giving you strength, because if you're getting pelvis pain still after pregnancy, if you're getting that stress incontinence, you're getting that little leak, you're coughing and sneezing, you're like, I'm never going to be going to exercise. They're the kind of issues that we can really help with in those early stages. And the great thing is they are so effective. I'm so passionate, I'm totally gone mouth dry now. But on my personal journey of having 3 kids and coming across so many mums in a professional and a personal sense, it's just so sad that people do feel like it's okay to be incontinent and we'll just put a pad in and it will be fine. You know, do seek help for those things so you can go back to the exercises and the activities that you enjoy, be it the trampoline in the garden with the kids, or be it going back to doing your 5K. You know, that's set yourself that goal and then work towards it in a healthy way. And just quickly before I go, and I'll have a look through the questions if there's any here, is the somebody was saying that they've got an older child and they haven't really got back to I think I might have frozen again. Oh dear. So going back to having an older child and not being back to exercise. So postnatal is classed as the 2 years following having a baby. So most people think, okay, a couple of weeks, maybe the first year, but actually 2 years following a baby is still classed as a postnatal. So give yourself time to do all your postnatal stuff if you haven't done it in those first few weeks and you're 2 years on and you're like, oh, maybe I'm not sure. Deal with the postnatal basics first and build yourself up gradually back to your fitness level before. Don't skip that stage because you want to do it. And in terms of making time, as I said, chunk it up. 10 minutes morning, 10 minutes in the evening, 10 minutes in the at lunchtime. And if you've got kids, get them involved. Okay, we're going to wash dishes, we're going to do squats, we're going to go and do wet play, and we're going to do some hopping. Remember, we just want to get that bit of cardio, want to get the circulation going, want to get the endorphins running, we want to get that strength and tone going as well. So I hope that was useful. I'm going to quickly flick through and see if there are any questions. I will put my pelvis down. So I'll go through the questions and come back, but just to let you know, there are videos on YouTube and I will put links down below of how you can get lots of free resources from me as well. So let me go through other questions. Let's see. Any questions? Pop them down. Anything that you found particularly useful, pop them down. It'd be good to know if you have had kids already. Does this pregnancy feel different? Does this recovery feel different depending on what stage you're at the moment? Which bit of information you found most useful? Don't worry if you've only just joined. I will be saving the video, so it will be available on repeat to replay on the Facebook group, and it will be available on Instagram TV on my personal channel as well, so you can watch the beginning bit. So I covered exercise top tips for pregnancy, during labour and post-birth. And I will leave my links. If you have any particular questions, you can get in touch with me. I am doing postnatal health MOTs, so either if you're in South London or if you want to do it over Zoom, so it doesn't matter where you are, we can have a health check over that in video conferencing, so I can see you at the same time. Help you make a decision whether you are happy to go back to exercise, if your pelvic floor is in good position, how your posture is doing, how your tummy muscles are doing, and obviously as a women's health physio I can help with other aches or pains as well. So I will leave you for now. Thank you so much for your time and for joining me, and have a great evening.